A more pertinent question to ask about the word woke might be, why in such a short time has it gone from a rallying cry to a pejorative? If the word only made you think of rational, deserved causes like teaching a less whitewashed version of American history, AOC would still want to own it. But it's a joke because it makes you think of people who wake up offended and take orders from Twitter, and their oversensitivity has grown tiresome.
Maher launched a sharp takedown of the Democratic Party, calling out its long-running failure to control the woke faction that, in his view, has been dragging the party down for the past decade. He argued that since this radical wing played a major part in last year's election loss, the DNC should have already created distance. Instead, they continue to appease the far-left fringe, pushing themselves deeper into political irrelevance. Maher's critique hit so hard that it sent shockwaves. Through the party, let's break down what he...
But you never hear anyone bragging about being a liberal. There's no liberal Bob Schmohawk as a liberal who wants to enact more liberal policies. Democrats might want to think about what that means, because the implication is you're embarrassed by what liberalism has become, that the term is now irredeemably coupled with woke nonsense, which is a shame, because despite their nonsense, it's still generally a better product. But what does it say about your brand if you don't want to say what you are?
Maher accused the DNC of suffering from an identity crisis that never seems to end. According to him, Democrats act ashamed of their own history, constantly apologizing instead of embracing who they are. Meanwhile, Republicans proudly claim their conservative identity and never hesitate to announce it with full confidence. The DNC, on the other hand, appears stuck trying to please every group at once, losing its sense of direction in the process. Maher's warning was clear: if you don't stand firmly for something, you'll eventually fall for anything in a political environment. This divided a party weighed down by guilt is no match for one that wears its values like armor.
What does it say about your brand if you don't want to say what you are? So much of liberal politics nowadays is identity politics, and yet it seems we found the one thing liberals won't identify as liberal.
James Carville understood how to win elections, and Maher thinks today's Democrats have forgotten that lesson. Modern liberals, he argues, are quick to adopt every new cause tied to the latest social trend. As long as it signals moral superiority, they'll defend any niche group or ideology, even if the ideas contradict each other. But when it comes to defending liberalism itself, they go silent. They seem afraid of their own principles: free speech, open debate, individual rights, worried that standing up for them will get them labeled as intolerant. Instead of discussing ideas, they cancel people instead of debating. They conform instead of leading. They chase hashtags. This, Maher says, is why they're losing influence.
James Carville knew how to win, and he blamed the Democratic losses this November 2nd on stupid wokeness, to which AOC fired back that wokeness is a term almost exclusively used by older people these days. So that should tell you all you need to know. What? This is a term folks like you brought out very recently and had been proudly displaying at every march since. Just last year, The Guardian declared woke the word of our era. I guess they didn't get the memo from the Mean Girls Club. We don't use that emoji anymore. Woke, please. We say fetch now.
Or here's the ironic part: the same people who proudly embraced the word woke just a few years ago are now running away from it. Back then, it was their badge of honor, symbolizing how enlightened and morally superior they believed themselves to be. Social media was filled with lectures, slogans, and self-praise, but now that the term has become embarrassing, they pretend it was never theirs to begin with. The movement that once used woke to shame others is suddenly trying to distance itself from the very label it built. Maher's argument is simple: if your ideas can't survive your own slogans, the issue isn't the word, it's the ideology itself.
Great strategy, never missing an opportunity to remind voters how lame and clueless and hopelessly uncool they are, especially since those are the ones who actually vote. But okay, fine. What word would you like us to use for the plainly insane excesses of the left that are not liberalism, but something completely different? Because you can't have that word liberal from us and think it should cover things like canceling Lincoln and teaching third graders they're oppressors. That's all your new thing.
What makes this even more revealing is that the woke movement is only abandoning the label, not the ideas. They still push the same concepts like redefining gender to the point where biology doesn't matter, claiming men can get pregnant, or insisting that hiring should prioritize race over merit. The only shift is in branding. Woke has become a liability. So they're repackaging the same beliefs under new names, hoping the public won't notice. No mistake, the ideology itself hasn't gone anywhere. The mindset is still the same, disconnected from reality, allergic to basic common sense, and completely out of touch with the day-to-day concerns of ordinary people. The woke movement may have abandoned the label, but not the behavior. As Maher often says, swapping the name doesn't fix the problem. It only hides the hypocrisy behind a fresh coat of paint.
If the word only made you think of rational, deserved causes like teaching a less whitewashed version of American history, AOC would still want to own it. But it's a joke, because it makes you think of people who wake up offended and take orders from Twitter, and their oversensitivity has grown tiresome. That said, I would love to have AOC on this show.
Beyond their disregard for common sense, the woke crowd seems permanently stuck in outrage mode. Nothing ever satisfies them. If today doesn't offer something to protest, they'll dig into centuries-old history to find a quote, a statue, or a forgotten painting to turn into their next social battle. Victimhood has become a full-time identity. And once they decide something is offensive, they don't stop at criticism, they erase it. Authors, historical figures, artists, thinkers, all canceled. Because their ideas don't match modern Twitter standards, it is right to ridicule this behavior. It's not progress, it's regression. A society that keeps rewriting its past just to avoid. Discomfort isn't strong or thoughtful, it's brittle. And that fragility, Maher warns, is slowly corroding the Democratic Party from the inside.
That said, I would love to have AOC on this show. There's so much to admire there. I was one of her first supporters for the Green New Deal idea. But that will probably never happen, because Democrats don't go anywhere these days where they're not pre-adored. And that's my last bit of advice to them. Go where the amen corner isn't. Do Fox News. Be brave. Come here. Go everywhere. Winning is about expanding the electorate.
And honestly, it's hard to imagine Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez agreeing to an interview where her views are actually challenged. She gravitates toward hosts who toss her easy questions, giving her space to attack Republicans or Donald Trump without ever being pressed on her own arguments. Ask her for a real tough conversation, and suddenly she's too busy or selective about her media choices too. Maher, AOC, symbolizes a bigger issue. The Democratic Party has become comfortable living in political safe zones. The DNC only appears on networks that already support their narrative, building an echo chamber where accountability never enters a movement that refuses to defend its ideas outside its own bubble. Doesn't show confidence, it shows fear. And that fear has become a defining feature of the Democratic conversation.
Democrats who 1 year from now will be licking their wounds and asking themselves how they could have lost the midterms so badly must instead ask themselves that question now. Now. You know, now. Like, while there's still time to do something about it.
I completely agree. Nearly a year after their election, defeat Democrats still can't gain momentum in the polls despite polished speeches and favorable media coverage. They haven't convinced voters they can handle the country's biggest problems. Meanwhile, Trump continues to dominate discussion around the issues people care about most: the border, the economy, national security, and America's strength on the world stage. To say what you want about his personality, but Trump knows how to tap into the concerns of everyday Americans. His popularity may rise or fall, but his grip on the core issues never weakens. Voters may not love his tone, but they trust his toughness, and Democrats still haven't figured out how to compete with that slogan's can't beat substance. But right now, voters want solutions, not hashtags.
A couple of weeks ago, Amy Klobuchar was here, and when I suggested the Democrats need a messaging czar, she offered me the job. Well, you need a messaging czar in your party.
And do you think it should be you?
Amy, I'm flattered. But after careful consideration, I must decline. The hours it would take me away from home would make it very difficult on my family. But I will tonight, once again, break out my coach hat and try to point the Democrats in the right direction. That's all I can do.
Maher is absolutely right. The DNC desperately needs someone to take control of their messaging. Their communication strategy is a complete mess. Most people couldn't even explain what Kamala Harris's main message was during the 2024 campaign. Her talking points were scattered, inconsistent, and overwhelmingly focused on pleasing the far left instead of connecting with mainstream America. The party seemed more interested in moral signaling than in presenting clear solutions for working families. What Democrats need now is someone who can bring coherence and conviction back to their message. Someone who can make their policies understandable and appealing to ordinary voters until the party reconnects with real people. No number of influencers, hashtags, or celebrity endorsements will rescue them in politics. If your message fails, everything fails.
I know liberals think this country is full of dumb white people, but in our democracy, dumb white people make up a substantial portion of the vote. The median voter is a white person in their 50s who didn't go to college, their favorite TV show is NCIS, and their pronouns are what? I don't know what the you're talking about, and get away from me. In 2008, Republicans only won 4 Virginia counties by more than 70%. This month, in the governor's election there, they did it in 45 counties. And this is what a lot of Democrats were told was the reason for that. Glenn Youngkin's win proves white ignorance is a powerful weapon. Racism still works in Virginia. It's not the messaging, folks. This country simply still loves white supremacy.
This type of messaging is exactly why the DNC is stuck in its current chaos. Their narrative is self-righteous tone. Deaf and constantly blames everyone except themselves. The woke framing turns every issue into the fault of conservatives, corporations, or some vague injustice, but never their own missteps whenever they lose support or fall behind in the polls. They look for excuses instead of taking responsibility. Maher's frustration hits the core problem. The party is addicted to deflection. Rather than adjusting course, they repeat the same tired arguments and hope for a different result until the Democrats accept their mistakes and realign with reality. Their credibility will keep slipping along with their voter base.
Well, I haven't worked up an official Democratic campaign slogan for 2024 yet, but I tell you what I have ruled out is vote Democrat because white people suck. It's like trying to get laid by saying, you're ugly, you want to dance? You're alienating a whole lot of people, particularly whites without a college degree, which is most of them in a country that's still 70% white. I'd say do the math, but math is a form of white supremacy.
In the end, Maher's takedown of the Democratic Party wasn't just harsh, it was necessary. He exposed the cracks that others pretend not to see: the obsession with woke politics, the muddled messaging, and the growing detachment from everyday Americans. The DNC keeps chasing approval from the loudest fringe instead of listening to the silent majority. Unless they rediscover courage, clarity, and honesty, they'll keep losing ground to leaders who understand what the country actually cares about. Maher didn't deliver this criticism for entertainment. He did it because real leadership means confronting uncomfortable truths. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.